The merger of WarnerMedia and Discovery has now gone through. David Zaslav, the CEO of the new joint venture, has started exerting his influence, and over the course of the next year, he will remold the company in his image. It will take time to completely restructure the company, of course, and until that process is done, most movies and other projects already in production will, for the most part, be allowed to proceed as they originally were planned. The notable exception here is the upcoming Flash movie. Few movies have gone through as much turmoil and as many changes as it already has, and despite already being filmed, and the story in part leaking following test screenings, it may still be subject to some drastic changes, because in many ways, the future direction of DC on film depends on it. In this video, we will begin by going through what the Flash movie was originally intended to be under Zack Snyder, how it eventually was filmed with the intention of undoing the Snyder-verse, and here there will be some major possible spoilers as we will be going through some of the leaks. And finally, we'll explore how and why the Flash is changing again in post-production. Zack Snyder always wanted to adapt the Flashpoint storyline, in which the Flash travels back in time, but mucks things up so a new, much darker timeline is created. One of the darker things about this timeline is that it wasn't Bruce Wayne's parents who were gunned down in that alleyway. No, it was Bruce Wayne himself while his parents lived. The grief over losing their son caused Thomas Wayne to become a much more Punisher-like gun-toting Batman, while Martha Wayne went nuts and became gender-bent Joker. When Zack Snyder cast such prolific actors as Jeffrey Dean Morgan and Lauren Cohan in the bit parts of Thomas and Martha Wayne for the Batman v Superman opening sequence, it was because he was setting them up for far bigger roles in the eventual Flash movie. This eventual Flash movie was set to be produced by Zack Snyder, though not directed by him, and it was scheduled to be filmed in early 2017 for a summer 2018 release. However, all of that went out the window when Batman v Superman failed with audiences in a very big way. Warner panicked, retooled everything, and before long, the Snyder regime was done, replaced by the short-lived Johns and Berg regime, while the Flash movie became a revolving door of new directors coming and going, and none could agree on a vision with the producers, who were also something of a revolving door. This only changed in late 2019, when Walter Hamada ran DC Films under Warner Bros. CEO Ann Sarnoff. They hired Andy Muschietti, hot off the It movies, to direct. This time, the producer intention, i.e. Hamada, Emmerich and Sarnoff's intention, wasn't to do the movie Snyder had planned, but rather something that would end Snyder's influence once and for all. The producers were happy with Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman, Jason Momoa's Aquaman, and Ezra Miller's Flash, and wanted to continue using them in future DC productions. But they weren't happy with Henry Cavill's Superman and Ben Affleck's Batman, in no small part because they were the public faces of Batman v Superman, and therefore the Snyder-verse. Hence, they wanted this movie to wipe that Batman and that Superman out of existence, and set the stage for a safer, more diverse DC cinematic universe going forward, in which nothing Snyder begun need ever be referenced again. The original intention for the Flash movie that ended up being filmed then was that there would be no more Snyder-verse by the end of it, only the Hamada-verse. The scoops here were very early on broken by our good friend Mikey Sutton of Geekosity magazine fame, so much of this we have reported on before. Ben Affleck still had one more Batman appearance left on his contract, and since he at this time was emotionally done with Batman anyway, the demise of his Batman could be written into the movie. The producers wanted to go with the Flashpoint storyline, but they did not want to follow up anything that Snyder had set up, so Jeffrey Dean Morgan's Batman and Lauren Cohan's Joker were out. Instead, they got Michael Keaton back, with the plan to use him to mentor a new Batman later on, Batman Beyond style. Difference being that the Batman he would be mentoring would be Batgirl. As for Superman, he too would be wiped out of existence and replaced by Supergirl, leading the safer and more diverse trinity of the Hamada-verse going forward to consist of Wonder Woman, Batgirl, and Supergirl. Courtesy of the leaks from the test screenings of an early cut of the movie, we know a bit more about how this was to be executed. At the time of making this video, no beat-for-beat breakdown of the story has been leaked, but we do know that the movie will feature 3 main incarnations of the Flash, all played by Ezra Miller. There is the version we know, and maybe don't love, from the earlier movies, and there is an alternate version from another timeline, possibly the same timeline as Michael Keaton's Batman, and finally, a future version of this alternate Flash who is hell-bent on destroying our Flash, as our Flash's time travel shenanigans ultimately led to the destruction of the alternate Flash's world by the hands of General Zod and Faura. The different leaks consistently suggest that in this new timeline, Zod succeeds in snuffing out Kal-El while he was still a baby, meaning he will never grow up to be Henry Cavill's Superman, thus removing Henry Cavill from the equation, leaving Supergirl to take his place. Ben Affleck's Batman, on the other hand, ends up lost in time, forgotten to everyone but the Flash, as a brand new timeline is created, one in which all traces of the Snyder-verse are gone, and a safer and more diverse Hamada-verse ensues. That, at least, was the original intention when filming began. As so frequently happens behind the scenes at DC, there was a change in management, while the movie was in production. For some time now, we have said that according to our sources, even before the WarnerMedia and Discovery merger was finalized, an edict went out that Henry Cavill's Superman, and especially Ben Affleck's Batman, were not to be irreversibly removed from proceedings. This is in line with Mikey Sutton's reporting, who a few months ago was the very first to break the scoop that something had changed behind the scenes, because now, all of a sudden, in spite of all earlier reports to the contrary, Ben Affleck's Batman was scheduled to live. More importantly, or rather more officially, it is in line with the official stance on the matter, which was published by Variety on April 15th. Right around the same time we published our video on Amber's possible future with DC, which is why this article wasn't referenced there. Be that as it may, this article confirms that Zaslav sees DC, or rather fixing DC, as one of Warner's top priorities. The article explicitly states that Discovery believes that several top-shelf characters such as Superman have been left to languish and need to be revitalized. And it would appear that Zaslav does not feel wiping him out of existence and replacing him with Supergirl is the right way to go about revitalizing him. This Variety article also confirmed another of Sutton's scoops, which we disseminated 2 DC videos ago, namely that Zaslav would restructure DC on film in the same mold as Marvel Studios. There is more to break down here, which we'll do in a separate video, but for now, this officially confirms that change is coming. The exact nature of that change, however, is not yet official. On March 11th, the release dates for a number of Warner movies were reshuffled, and none were reshuffled more than The Flash, which was pushed back from November 4th of this year to June 23rd of next year. While the coup was cited as the official reason for the delay, this is but a cover story. Consider, the original November release date is more than half a year away, and the movie is already far enough along that test screenings are being held for it. If the cut currently being tested had been satisfactory, there would have been plenty time to finish it, even with everyone working from home. No, from what we are hearing from our sources, the real reason for the delay is that it has been decided that the movie needs further tweaking, and it apparently wasn't Hamada who made that call. In addition to ensuring that Ben Affleck's Batman lives, Geekosity magazine also reports that while no firm decision has been made yet, the option of flashpointing Ezra Miller's Flash out of the movie is not off the table. That is, removing Ezra completely is not an option, as that would require reshooting the entire movie. But having all of the time-traveling and universe-hopping shenanigans end with our Flash suddenly waking up in a new body by the end of the movie is not completely out of the question. The movie is apparently planned to end on something of a cliffhanger, and no matter how stunning and brave Ezra may be in real life, the new management would appear to have mixed feelings about building a franchise around someone who clearly has mental issues, to say nothing of an ever-expanding line of legal issues. If Miller were to be recast, and that is still an if, but if it were to happen, it wouldn't be with Grant Gustin, as according to Geekosity, Warner doesn't feel he can carry a film franchise. According to anonymous sources on Reddit though, so do take this with a massive grain of salt. A possible replacement could be Sam Claflin. Whatever they end up doing, the Flash movie will be exceedingly important to the future of DC on film, as the final cut of it will be indicative of where the new management wants to move going forward. What would you like to see happen? Let us know in the comments.